What's up, guys? This is episode 3 of Puck Drop, where we're talking all things hockey. I'm your host, Nick Spina, and we got a great episode for you guys today. Let's just get right into it. And this week on the Puck Drop podcast, Nick Spina talks hockey.
It's all power, play goal!
We're talking the latest news around the league, COVID-19 updates, and team previews for this year's playoff. All right, guys, on this week's episode, we'll be covering the latest hockey news, including the NHL draft lottery that happened just a few days ago, as well as the Western Conference top seeds for this year's playoffs. As always, I like to have a guest on to talk with me, and this week we're going to have my very good friend, Sam Mason out of Vancouver, Canada. Sam, welcome to the show, brother. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me, dude. I'm excited to be here.
Sam, you've been friends for a while. I know you're a big Canucks fan, and you have been for a long time. But for the people that don't know you, I guess, how did you get into hockey? Like, was it the sport you played as a kid, or were you just watching the pros? Like, how did that kind of go?
Honestly, it's kind of funny. Like, it's kind of the same with Will, right? Like, I haven't played hockey for a team at all. Like, literally growing up in Australia, right? Living in Australia till I was like 11 years old, moving to Canada. My first close friend when I came to Canada, obviously, was a massive hockey guy. He played house team and everything. He was a huge hockey guy. But he was a Penguins fan. He was a big Sidney Crosby guy, a big Marc-Andre Fleury guy, and he was into that. And I was like, you know what? I might like the local team. So I went to a game with my mom back in like 2015, I think. That was the first game, yeah. And it was like Canucks back in kind of like the glory days. And when we came to Canada, that was the year the Canucks made the playoffs. They got eliminated by the Flames in round one in 6 games. So I was like, okay, maybe this team's good. But then we kind of... 2016, 17, 2017, 18, 15, 16, we kind of dropped off, went through this rebuilding phase. And I remember watching the draft for the 2017 draft, and we were all excited because my friends like picking Gabe Velarde, the Canucks going Gabe Velarde, I think it was 5. We're all hyped, and this kid, Elias Pettersson, gets picked at 5. Like, who is this guy? Do this research, but little do we know he's going to become the next franchise player for the team.
That's insane.
Getting into it was obviously like my sport growing up was definitely rugby, right? A big rugby guy, and I was kind of swimming, like all those sports, right? Then coming to Canada, rugby was kind of not really a thing, especially in like where I'm in Western Canada. So it wasn't as big as Australia, right? So I was like, I'll jump on the big bandwagon, and the equivalent of rugby in Australia is hockey in Canada. Like, hockey's the main sport.
Right.
So everyone's like into hockey. So I'm like, this is pretty sick. I got a pair of skates and like pond skating, public skating, and taught myself how to skate. And that's pretty much where it came from.
Oh my God. That's pretty sick. I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I know, it's a pretty good story, eh?
That's pretty sick.
My first Canucks jersey is actually, I got it a few years ago. It was a Kevin Bieksa jersey, like on the old Reebok.
Oh my God.
And I went to I'm obviously in Whistler, right? And obviously up until they stopped in 2018, 2017, I think, the Canucks would come up for training camp in Whistler like every September kind of ish.
Oh, really?
Prospects up, they bring all the guys up. They have this big bus parked by the little rink, and every little Canucks fan in town would go and they get their stuff signed. They had all these games and stuff set up. And I got my BX jersey signed by 5 of the guys, including one of the Sedin twins, Burrows, Ryan Miller at the time, all those Yannick Hansen, all those boys. And obviously that jersey, I don't know how my brother took it and ruined it, but that was kind of memorabilia thing. I got the jersey and I'm like, okay, it's my team now, the Canucks, baby. And then since we're following the rebuild, a hardcore Canucks fan now, diehard, you could even say, I'm just waiting for the day we can finally be proud, making a playoff run, right? Say I'm a Canucks fan, rather than say everyone goes, oh, you're a Canucks fan? I go, yeah, I'm a Canucks fan right now. In 2017, we were sitting 29th in the league, and it wasn't a good time for the Canucks, but now we're good.
That's crazy. I mean, you're getting pretty close. You guys are rebuilding for a long time, and you've been rebuilding the right way.
Yeah, it's good, right? Jim Benning, he's been I think they're saying one of the in a while, one of the longest serving GMs, because they haven't got rid of him yet, because he's been doing the right thing for the Canucks. Right. Yeah, he's been the rebuilding the right way. Everyone kind of criticizing saying what is he doing, signing that Louis Eriksson contract, that $6 million if it was, something ridiculous like that. And then obviously that contract still isn't a good thing to have on a cap hit, but still all these young players coming in. No one would have thought that Nils Höglander, obviously the guy picked in the round 2 of 2019, he's meant to become the next big thing for us as well, playing with Petey, playing that young Swedish core as well. We're going to see how that goes down. But he's been, and obviously big news for the Canucks, right, that Judd Brackett, the head of amateur scouting, has left now. And he was the guy who was primarily responsible for bringing in players like Pettersson, Brock Besser, Bo Horvat, all those guys. These core players. We're going to see what happens now. We have that core set, right, which is pretty exciting.
That's crazy. You guys have a lot of depth, too. I mean, picking up JT Miller at the deadline was big.
That was insane.
Was big.
That was a big move. I was excited. My friends, like Dev, like revealed he was skeptical as well because like we gave up quite a bit for him, right? We gave up a traditional first round pick and a pick in next year's draft as well for someone because obviously Canucks hadn't been buyers for a long time. We've been pretty much sellers. We've been selling at the deadline, picking up picks, getting rid of old guys, and now we finally made a big deal acquiring an exciting roster player and giving up a pick and a prospect, right?
Right.
Instead of getting one. So it's kind of like, we'll see how that goes down. Definitely one of the best trades I've made in a while. Like he was one of the best players on the team this season. He absolutely blew up. He played in first-line hockey with PD and Bessa, and he absolutely loved it.
That's unbelievable. I never would have thought that was going to come out of JT Miller. JT Miller, I mean, in New York, he'd always been a role player. He was never like a star player.
He was a role player, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and like that was where he fit on the team. It made sense. So I'm like glad that he found a home in Vancouver and played well. I mean, leading scorer for the team this year, like ridiculous.
Yeah, and even in Tampa, dude, like he was kind of like he's quiet. That's it. But he was quiet in Tampa.
He was rolling bottom six. But, I mean, they already got their guys. They got Kucherov. They got
Kucherov, all the boys. Yeah, they didn't need him.
Palat, like all of them. They didn't really need JT.
He was a depth acquisition at the time. Like they were going to make that. They were planning on making a big playoff run, right? And they got eliminated in the conference finals to Washington back in 2018. I want to say it was. Yeah, so then they made that run, but they were kind of ready for it, but then obviously they didn't make it all the way, right? They couldn't stop the Caps and Ovi were going all the way, right?
Right.
Like Ovi wasn't taking any prisoners. He took out the Penguins, and he was on cloud nine. Him and Kuznetsov, Backstrom, that whole group was like, we're doing this. This is it now, boys.
Yeah, that's right. That was the run for them.
Oh yeah, for sure. And obviously, like JT Miller comes to the Canucks. Now he's become this 30 goal scorer kind of guy. Like, hello, where did you come from?
I know.
We need it as well. Like, obviously, PD, everyone was kind of saying, sophomore slump. But he was playing really well for his second year as well. And Brock was kind of quiet. He had battling injuries as well, right? Him, Jacob Markstrom battling injuries. Josh Levo had a season-ending injury. We kind of avoid battling injuries, right? Like, it's kind of the stereotype in Vancouver, right? We go on this, 6-game win streak in October to begin the season, and then the injuries start racking up. We have a few core players go down, and we have to bring in some players from the AHL, and that's kind of usually how the season goes. But we kind of battled through it this season and stayed within the pack for the playoff hunt, which is definitely a new feeling. Like, for the first time in a while, I've been actively watching Canucks games every time they're on. TV. Whole thing going because it's going to be interesting. Rather than it's a Canucks against, let's say, back when the Ducks were really good, the Anaheim Ducks, and okay, we're going to get absolutely slaughtered, right?
Right.
But now we're good. Like, now we're actually competing every night, which is something to see.
And watching good hockey is, especially when it's your team, it's the most exciting thing in the world. Because, I mean, absolutely. What most surprised me this year, about the Rangers was, obviously they weren't supposed to be good, but you add Artemi Panarin, and that's he's a whole different
a whole different story. Yeah.
And so it was going to be, what was his impact going to be? How was he going to play? And he went off. And that team, they all gelled together. The young kids, man.
They did really well.
Aaron, the whole.
I was definitely surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I was definitely surprised. Yeah, like the Rangers, how they played, I was definitely surprised. I was like, they're actually competing this season. Like they're actually.
Yeah, because when they were hot, they were hot, and they were probably the most exciting team to watch. They might have been the youngest team in the NHL, but they were very exciting for me at least.
Yeah, definitely for sure. It was like I was expecting maybe a rebuilding season, maybe a few seasons in the Rangers. Let's say Panarin didn't come along. What would you have thought would happen to this Rangers team, right? Like, what's your stance on it? Like, what do you think? No Panarin, where would they be right now?
I don't know. Honestly,
no Shesterkin as well. Yeah, and you got the Igor Shesterkin in goal, right? Like
you're telling me. So if I have no Igor, no Panarin, what would I have done?
What do you think? Yeah. Where would they be sitting right now?
Here's the thing. Adding Panarin really carried he carried the team this year. Sure, Zibanejad played out of his mind, 41 goals in 50 games, even battling injury.
Yes.
They had good guys play well, but Panarin really, he made everyone better, and he really
gave him a spark, right?
Yeah, he did. He gave him a spark. It's just he's a great presence on and off the ice, and I can't say good enough things about him. I could talk forever. Yeah, I mean, you look at the beginning of the year before he really even played many games, and the Rangers were struggling to find a second line center, and they were throwing Filipino in that mix. They threw Strome in there a little bit, And I was not really impressed with Ryan Strome all that much. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yes.
In the preseason, I watched games. I went to games. I was like, Ryan Strome's not the guy. Filipino wasn't going to be the guy either. I mean, they started on a Hartford, teach him a bit of a lesson. But then they start mixing lines. You throw Panarin on that line with Strome, mix in Fost. They played him with Kakko. They played him on the top line. And you watch what Panarin did to Strome, and he really solidified. He made him that second line center. And it's unbelievable to see how much better he makes other players.
Hockey. Absolutely. That's what I'm thinking. Like, it's kind of a similar situation in Vancouver, right? Like, obviously, you'll understand it's the whole Jake Virtanen situation.
Yeah.
The whole, like, being drafted top 5, and I'm going to say it was 2014. Yeah, it was 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bo was 2013, Jake was 2014. 2015 was Brock, 2016 was Oli Levy. But with 2014, that was definitely, we don't talk about that pick. That was definitely passing Matthew Tkachuk for Oli Levy. We kind of want to put that one in the past, right? But like Jake Virtanen, he took a while to find his game. I feel like they were kind of rushed and they played him in his rookie season, and he had like, I know his exact stats, but he wasn't living up to what everyone thought he would be.
The expectation of a top 5 pick. And that's the big thing about like guys that go high is they're expected to make an impact right away.
Yeah.
That's not always the case. I mean,
it takes some time. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at Hughes and Kakko. They were supposed to play, Kakko was supposed to come in and just absolutely take over. It doesn't really work like that. The kid's 18. I'm literally 1 year older than he is. Actually, I think we're the same age now. I think he's 18.
Yes.
But, like, he's not going to have that big an impact, especially like he played well, but he played well for his age group. So it's like,
that's the thing, right?
You get thrown in with the big dogs, you can't expect to light it up right away,
Yeah. And that's the same with the whole Jake thing. It took him a long time, but this season he finally, like everyone's saying, this is the Calgary Hitman Jake Virtanen. This is the Jake Virtanen that Judd Brackett and the scouting team saw in him when he played back in Calgary in WHL. Like the power forward, the guy who can get in there, the guy who can play in the body. He can play the body. He can send off people when they get not tossed around. Plus, he can like use his big size and frame to skate to the front of the net and whack pucks in if they get thrown to the front. Like especially playing with Anton Roussel, that kind of duo kind of went well as well because Roussel's kind of gritty as well. And you slap Adam Gaudette in the middle, and you got a good line. Adam Gaudette's pretty good as well. He's a young, talented forward as well.
Exactly.
Travis Green was definitely playing in the line to see how well he could find chemistry, and he found someone this year, which is why the Canucks had success, is they found good line chemistry within the forward pack. Obviously, Quinn Hughes is off his mind on defense.
He's so good. I was very surprised by him this year too.
Oh yeah, I was expecting maybe a solid 1 to 2 seasons of him kind of developing, seeing how he would kind of progress into that top 2 defenseman, top defensive for the Canucks. And he obviously, like, he came in, he was like, bam. I watched his first goal live in the home opener, like, against the Kings.
Wow.
And it was insane. I was like, wow. I saw also Petey's first goal live in 2019, like, back-to-back first NHL goals, yeah. And, like, Hughes' goal was pretty special. Like, this kid is the edge work, like, his skating ability, how he can just turn on a dime and lose someone is just impressive. Someone that we needed, because obviously Chris Tanev, Alex Edler, that defensive core is getting pretty old.
Right.
Like, they're getting there now. So we need to find like some new life. Obviously you got Brogan Rafferty down in the AHL. You got some nice young guys coming up, but it's still going to be a few seasons, like Jet Wu, all those guys. It'll be a few seasons at least to become those solid NHL defensemen, ones that can like hold the roster spot on this team. But Quinn came in and was like immediate top 2 pairing with Tanev, and that was it.
Yeah, well, and that's very rare to find in today's day and age. I mean, you look at, I've looked at some of the Rangers guys that have been in the Wolfpack for years. And haven't been able to hold it, not even a 4th line spot. Or if you look at defensemen, I mean, the Rangers haven't really been great on defense since 2014.
Yeah.
Until probably about this year, they found a good string of guys. Trouba, picking up in the
He's pretty good, hey? Yeah. That was a good acquisition, yeah.
And re-signing D'Angelo was one of probably the best and smartest moves.
Well, D'Angelo's a very offensive defenseman, isn't he? He's
I think he led all defensemen in points this year.
He's pretty impressive, eh?
He was up top, I think, in league standings for top scoring defenseman. Carlson obviously leads the way.
Yeah. He's pretty impressive, eh? Obviously, speaking of Carlson, what happened to the San Jose Sharks this season?
Oh my God.
What happened to that team? That team went from going to the Western Conference Finals.
Well, and they went in the Stanley Cup Finals in 16?
In the last season, they just lost to, obviously, the reigning champs, St. Louis Blues. Right. And they were almost there again, and they were pretty high. But obviously losing Joe Pavelski, losing Jonas Donskoy. Who else did they lose? Did anyone else?
They lost Marlowe to Toronto. He jumped around.
Then he came back and with Pittsburgh because it was in Carolina. He went around. But now, so like pretty much like they lost Joe Pavelski and Jonas Donskoy, and that void that left might have been what was keeping that team together, right? Like they were a good team for a while. Like watching highlights of the Canucks Sharks 2011 conference finals, like they were like Antti days. Like they've been a consistently good team.
Right.
I could have had the up and down years and missing playoffs, but they managed to stay a relevant team.
Yeah, because they haven't really touched their roster that much.
Right. And now they're thinking, wow, like their prospect pool is very shallow for a team that's called the Sharks. It's ironic. Their prospect pool is very shallow. They need some more prospects. Like who do they have? They have like Jeremy Waugh. I don't know who else they have on the prospect side, like Jonathan Darlene, but he came from the Canucks because we just didn't need him anymore because we had Elias Pettersson, right? Like obviously the Canucks fans were hyped to see Darlene and Pettersson play together because they played in Sweden together, but obviously that wasn't going to work out in the end because he wasn't motivated enough. They described it. He wasn't motivated enough and progressing as he should have been. So he dealt into San Jose, and that's currently one of the good prospects they have. So I don't know what they're going to do now. Obviously, with the 7th overall pick, sixth? What pick do they have? Oh, sorry, no, they traded away. They picked at Ottawa, right? In the Eric Carlson.
No, they would have got the 3rd pick in the draft.
And now Ottawa has it. So they even have a first-round pick.
Top 10. Yeah, they have. They've got 6th, and then they've got 3rd.
Okay, yeah. Do San Jose have a pick at all?
In the top
in round 1?
10? No, I don't think so. In round 1, I'm not sure because they might have acquired some other pick, but
lower down. Like it'd be interesting because they need it. They need a good prospect. Yeah, I think they had a pick last year as well. Like they need someone who can kind of like not come in instantly, but come in a few years. Obviously, once Brent Burns he's getting pretty old as well. Eric Carlson's getting pretty old. Martin Jones obviously showed signs of slowing down. Like he wasn't the same goalie he was in 2016.
Right.
Aaron Dahl had to take the lead this season, and it didn't go too well. Right, they ended up in the bottom of the Pacific pretty much. Feeding off of Anaheim and LA, and it was obviously 3 teams out of Cali. It's a joke. Like 3 teams out of Cali not want to make the playoffs.
California teams just did not play well, and they all.
Do you remember when they were all like the dynasty teams? Like you remember, it was Anaheim, LA, San Jose teams you didn't want to mess with back out in the Pacific, and it was like hell for Calgary to make a playoff spot because it was those 3 always in the top, the 3 teams in Cali, especially when you had like. Obviously, the Ducks won the cup in 2007, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And you got LA with the 2 cups in 4 years kind of situation. San Jose's been consistently good, and it's definitely been a fall off. Obviously, the Kings are looking quite good now. They're lucky. They got Byfield coming in potentially at 2. I think Byfield's locked for 2, right? We have Alex Turcotte, Rasmus Kupari, a bunch of young guys coming in who should be looking pretty good for the Kings' future, right? But San Jose can't say the same. Even Anaheim has some depth. San Jose, what's happening out?
They've got nothing.
The Shark Tank. They need to fix something quick. They need to make some trades. They need to sign. Not even like build in depth. They need to find more youth because youth is so important in today's hockey game. Like,
yeah, that's the biggest thing that I've noticed is that the kids run the show, man. They do.
Literally,
you look at all the young teams that are rebuilding. You look at Vancouver. You look at New York, and a lot of other squads. And
even Carolina. Carolina went young and they become really good now. Sebastian Aho. You got all those boys. You got obviously Andrei Svechnikov. Insane.
Right. The fact that these young kids can come in and play so well at such a young age boggles my mind. I was telling Mark, my mind is blown by the fact that Adam Fox has played this well in his rookie season.
Yeah.
His hockey IQ is insane. Yeah. Like you wouldn't have expected him to be a top, 2 defenseman.
He's really good, hey? Like he went from like Calgary to Carolina because Calgary didn't want him, Carolina didn't want him, and now the Rangers.
Nobody wanted his rights, and now they're all paying for it, man.
And now Adam Fox is playing out of his mind as well. Like you think about this, but like it's a completely different game. Like I was looking at it at the teams that won cups back in the day, like 2011 Bruins. You got the 2012 Kings. You got the 2010 Hawks. They were all teams built with maybe 1 or 2 young guys, but a big presence of veteran. It's guys with experience, and it was a slower game. Like it was kind of like not a pretty goal scoring game, plus like a few star players, but it was kind of just like. And like hockey was fighting, like obviously these guys going to bars watching these hockey games, like these old fans, like these dads going to watch the games, and it was fighting, it was hitting, it was a gruesome game, and it was now like hitting isn't a huge part of the game anymore. Like fighting isn't a huge part of the game.
It's
like
not.
The role of a grinder is becoming more and more obsolete because everyone's trying to find these young talented kids. There's no need for someone
just going to whiz by, make pretty deeks, and put on a show, man.
Literally, but then what big money? These contracts are going to be pretty insane coming soon.
Right. And especially when these kids start to grow and they start to develop more, and like you're gonna have fat contracts. I mean, like look at Toronto, right? Like they started, they had good kids, and then they picked up a few veteran players. I mean, obviously Tavares wanted to come home. That's a huge pickup.
That's definitely
like
Tavares, Matthews, Marner, Nylander. Like just look at those 4.
That's amazing.
They're in cap hell. They've got nothing, but like
and nothing left.
They're young kids developed, and then they got to pay for it. So I feel like that'll probably be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But what's good now is that with the lack of veterans, you're not paying hefty contracts unless like you, I don't know, buy out someone like Kevin Shattenkirk who's going to eat up
Yes.
$8 million in your cap for
Yeah.
like the second year of his buyout deal.
Well, that's the thing about like the Canucks, right? With the cap hell, is Louis Eriksson is eating up so much cap space,
Yeah.
and same with even Roberto Luongo. His cap hit from his retirement is $3 million per season.
I can't believe you guys are still paying him.
We're paying Luongo money, and he's sitting in Florida and is like beach home. We're paying him $3 million a season, but we could be signing maybe even like a bottom six, kind of like a gritty guy who can come in, like an Anton Roussel, maybe like a Roussel or Sutter equivalent, because Brandon Sutter's been battling injury for a while as well. And let's say Jay Beagle goes down, who's going to be that bottom six forward guy? Because Adam Gaudette's still quite young, right? Like we obviously beat Bo in the top two, but who's going to be that bottom line centerman, right? Because Jay Beagle is one of the best, I think, penalty killing face-off guys in the league. They're saying like he's really good at his face-offs, and that's what we needed, right? That's what obviously Jim Benning wanted to see when we signed him, but. That's the thing, right? Like the cap hits in the Canucks are pretty big, especially when Elias Pettersson, Brocco have been signed a short-term deal, but Petey and Quinn Hughes, when they want new contracts, it's going to be
big money.
Yeah, it's gonna. I was talking to Dev, and I was thinking like reveal. I was thinking Petey's going to want at least $7 million a season, maybe $8. Depending on for his first contract, he might take a team-friendly deal because he wants to play in Van.
Right.
But we'll see, right? Like obviously, Jacob Markstrom looking at taking a team-friendly deal because we don't have the cap to offer him the money he deserves right now.
No, and he's played out of his mind.
Oh, out of his mind. He was the reason we actually had a chance this season as well. Like so many games, like even when Demko was playing, we could tell when Demko was playing how much we relied on Jacob Markstrom to make those saves.
Right.
Like you go on YouTube, what's the Canucks top 10 plays? It's Jacob Markstrom, Pettersson highlight. Jacob Markstrom, Pettersson highlight. Quinn Hughes highlight. Jacob Markstrom. That's really the entire reel. It's just his saves. His windmill save on Kevin LeBanc.
Right.
Some of his saves are absolutely out of our mind. Like no one would have expected Jacob Markstrom, right? Like
no way.
But he took his sweet time. Like he came over in the Luongo trade, and he was AHL. He was bounced between the AHL and the Canucks. So we had Ryan Miller, we had Eddie Lack, we had those guys. We didn't need him in the beginning. Like he was in the AHL, and he always had that big frame. He's like 6'6", 6'7". He's a big guy.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, and we knew he would be good in the future, so we kind of gave him some time. But obviously, like going to this younger phase, like obviously the loss of the Ryan Miller and the loss of those star goaltenders, like. Jacob came in, he knew he had to assume the role of a starting goaltender, and he played out of his mind this season. Even like at the end of last season, like let's say like the final 2 months, he was really, really good as well. He was showing shades of what he was doing this season. Like he was putting a solid performance, and like Demko was kind of like coming in, backing up occasionally, learning the ropes. Like obviously learning stuff from Jacob. He's been around for a while now. He's 30 years old. Like you wouldn't think.
Wow.
He just turned 30.
You
yeah.
wouldn't think. Yeah, you'd think he's a young kid, but
honestly,
honestly,
now he's in his prime. Yeah, he's just hit his prime now. So let's see how it goes.
I know that it's honestly like it's such a nice feeling when like things are done the right way, right? Because like Markstrom took his time, right, to develop. Now he gets here and he just rips it, right? You look at Shesterkin. Rangers have been waiting 5 years since they drafted him.
They did.
Honestly, maybe 6 because they drafted him in like 2014.
They did. Oh, they did. Yeah.
And he sat in the KHL for like 5 years, and everyone's like, "Okay, when are you bringing Igor over? When are you bringing Igor over? When's Kravtsov coming?" Like, we just want like, we need cap holes to fill, and we need players. But they're like, no, let him sit, let him wait. And then he comes in, wins. He goes 9-0, and his
shutouts. How many shutouts did he put in his first 9 games? How many shutouts?
I want to say like 4 or 5.
That's insane.
Which is just ridiculous. He goes 9-2-0 in his first 11. And he's learning from the king, Henrik Lundqvist, and especially that goalie tandem for the playoffs.
What a role model, hey? Henrik Lundqvist. Who else?
I know, exactly.
Like he's one of the guys you want. Like if I was coming in as backup, I want him on my contract floor or Carey Price. One of those 3 to learn off of. Those are 2 of the 3 of the greatest goals.
They've all had good, great runs.
Great.
And the thing about New York that I love is that they crank out good goaltenders. Like like Benoit Allaire is fantastic. Obviously he's done a great job with Hank, but look at how many young guys Hank has shaped into starting goaltenders.
Yes.
And Talbot in. You bring, I don't know who else, Antti Ranta in. Now he's a starter in.
Kind of like a farm system, right? Like they come into New York and they leave and they come starting goaltenders. Like obviously Talbot came in, Talbot went to Edmonton, took Edmonton up. Antti Ranta left, went to Coyotes. The Coyotes are on a slow little kind of rebuild now, but now they have Taylor Hall. We'll see. What can they produce out of Arizona? Finally some success. Phil Kessel, Taylor Hall. not Dylan Strome. Dylan Strome left, unfortunately. He didn't have a good run with the Coyotes.
He went to
They got,
Chicago.
who do you have on the Derek Stepan? Derek Stepan's at
Oh yeah, they got that vet presence and stuff
yes.
on you.
And they got Nick Schmaltz. You got all those guys.
They got
We'll
OEL,
see how
yeah.
it goes. Definitely. Like they have a solid squad and they have some young guys as well. Like even Chicago have been handling their rebuild pretty well. Kirby Duck, Dylan Strome, like these young guys are coming in. They'll be rebuilding for very long if they're going to keep on
Kubalik is in there too. He's been playing out of his mind.
But they have to accept the fact, the Hawks fans as well, that the dynasty years are kind of over for the time being.
Right.
They're going to have to rebuild. They're going to have to get some new guys in. Like the Canucks rebuilt for 5 years. Like it was a long time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
For fuck's sake, 5 years, right? It was the longest 5 years ever. But now we're finally getting there, right? Like it took us so long of drafting Levy. Levy still hasn't played an NHL game yet, and he was drafted in 2016 as a defenseman, top 5. So that's the thing, right? So like we obviously learned from our mistakes and drafted Pedersen next season. That he was meant to go number 1. Like looking back at it, he should have gone number 1 in the draft over Nico Hischier and Nolan Patrick. He should have gone number 1. Like PD was definitely out of his mind.
Yeah, what an absolute snag. You look at Nolan Patrick, where the hell is he? You look at
he's injured.
He's done nothing.
Like Nolan Patrick's been injury prone, poor guy. Like I feel like he was meant to be kind of like that Broad Street bully presence for Philadelphia. Like that's all they wanted, right? But then he's been battling injuries. He hasn't been playing the way he was expected to because again the pressure on these kids, right? It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Then like PD had his time. Like we would let him play one season in the SHL, like a full new season, and he broke Swedish Hockey League records. That's what happened. And then like come on over, and then he played out of his mind for the rookie season, right?
Right.
Every time like a Blues fan's like Jordan Binnington should have won the Calder. I'm like, well, really? Because have you seen the way this kid's been playing? He took a Canucks team who is questioning, not knowing what identity they're going to assume for the next few seasons. Like obviously they're like a young team, but they're not good yet. And he came in and he made Canucks hockey exciting to watch again. Like he was that good. Like the Blues were a good team either way. Like they were a solid team. They had Ryan O'Reilly. They had a good foundation. They just needed that missing piece in goal, and they found it and won a cup.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of these teams, certainly the top picks help, but I mean, it's a toss up. You never know who's gonna play well. And I mean, look at New Jersey. They had the top. They had the overall pick for the last like 3 years in a row or something.
And they haven't been producing.
And they haven't done anything.
Like it's not all about the numbers, right? It's about who you draft, the player that you need. It's like they say it's a mentality on a draft. Like you can either draft based on position, or you can draft based on need.
Yeah, right.
And that's the thing, right? Like Canucks drafted based on need. We could have taken anyone else at 5. We chose this Elias Pettersson kid who was made projected top 20, not top 5.
Right.
And we're taking the top 5, and he was like, wow, like he was the guy we needed. We didn't even know. Like, we were thinking maybe Bo is that top line centerman, maybe like Jonathan Darwin, maybe like that tandem. But then Elias Pettersson comes in, bam, Bo's bumped down to second. Right. PD's like the top guy for the next decade, and maybe like close to 2. We'll see how he plays, right? Like he's going to be absolutely insane. And like drafting based on position, right? Like even, sorry to say, but Edmonton, even though they have Draisaitl and McDavid, think about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, think about Jordan Eberle, think about Taylor Hall, right? Like what happened to these guys?
Right.
Who else was a top? Was it Clepon was pretty good, but you think about who else they've picked up, they've drafted, like they haven't been as good as they expected. Like they've been taking these good. Oh, sorry. Gotta say, Portajarvi, the guy in Finland now, the restricted free agent.
Oh, Jesse Puljujarvi, yeah.
Yeah, top 4 pick, and now he's
and now the Rangers want him in exchange for Anderson or something like that.
Yeah, because do you really want the medal tosser on your team, right? Like I mean, like
I thought that was kind
of a good guy, right?
Happened.
Yeah, I'm like, that's bold. Especially you just got drafted by the New York Rangers, and you're meant to be this pretty young, hot player, right? And you're going to pull a stuff like that. I mean, that's a bold move for sure, right? He got so much ridicule because that he had to make a formal apology. Like he got some serious backlash. Yeah, like he got some phone calls after that, like saying like, "What are you doing?" This is like disrespectful and everything. Because I know it's kind of like in the league, especially with Gary Bettman saying although he's made some mistakes, it's that sportsmanship, right? Like hockey is more than just like on the ice, right? And if he's gonna send an image saying, okay, you're not going to take second place and throw it over the glass, right? That's like obviously losing is part of the game. As a Canucks fan, believe me, losing is a part of the game, right? Like we lose more than we win, but like you can only take a loss as well as you can take a victory, right? If you take a loss like a champion, you can win like a champion.
Right.
like Lee Sanderson, don't get me wrong, is a great guy, but like we'll see how he turns out, right? Like I feel like after that, like obviously everyone learns no mistakes. He seems like an absolute great kid, right? Like a young Swedish guy meant to be a solid center for the Rangers, and we'll see how he plays. Like he could easily turn his game around, turn his attitude around, and become this guy everyone hopes he would.
Right.
Don't write him out yet. You can't really write anyone out until they've had a chance, and it's not really what you're seeing, right? You still want to give him, even like Jake Virtanen, a good example once again. Like we gave him 4 seasons, and he's finally found his game, and now thank God we kept him, right?
Right. Exactly.
So we could have dealt him off and gotten an extra pick instead because we weren't happy that he was playing.
Right.
Finally, the way we wanted to. He's what, like I'll find his exact stats. Like it's interesting. I think he had like what. You start somewhere, right? Yeah, he had 18 goals, 16 assists, 36 points in 69 games.
Wow. And
41 penalty minutes. That's like what you kind of expect from Jake, right?
Right.
Considering now his whole career in 279 games played, 18 of those goals, 18 of his 50 goals that he scored in his career came from 2019 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, so he only had 50 career goals total now, and 18 of them came from just this season alone.
Wow.
So it's interesting to see, right?
That's unbelievable.
He's made good progress.
That's crazy.
Oh, for sure, man. Okay, let's talk about the West, hey?
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you think? The lottery, definitely. Okay, let's see. Like, I remember watching the game, and I was like, just sitting. I was watching the lottery, on my couch, and like hands on my head. And I was like, what is happening right now? Because I was like, everyone's like, yeah, Detroit, Ottawa. I'm like, absolutely, Detroit, Ottawa deserve those franchise.
Well, Detroit or Ottawa did deserve the top pick, and the thing is about the draft lottery is that like it should go to the team who plays the worst. Like that should just be how it works. But like,
I watched his video on Sportsnet. Sorry, it was like, what's his face? Former GM of the Canucks. He was talking with David Ambers, right? And he was talking about how like the lottery is like, even though it was designed to stop teams from tanking, now it's like it could be given to a team who just fell outside the playoffs, could get first overall pick. Let's say the Canucks, we've never won a top pick. We never had a first overall pick in the 50 years of being a franchise. We haven't selected a player number 1 at all. The closest we've got was the Sedins back in 1999, which is 2-3. But that's the closest we've gotten. We haven't gotten number 1, but we still have a good team, right? Like, it's kind of like I'm not going to brand it as rigged, but it's interesting how it works, right? Obviously, it's been like obviously the series go around saying it's a PR stunt, right? Like say giving these teams like New Jersey these so many first overall picks, seems like Edmonton racking up these first overall picks, and still not being able to produce from them, right? Like, obviously McDavid's been out of his mind, Draisaitl as well, and league MVP, but like we'll see how this goes, right? Like obviously it's definitely interesting because now it's going to go to a team that made the play-in round, which means they were top 16, like top 24 team in the league,
top 24.
Yeah, literally, it's going to go to one of these 8 teams, and we'll see who actually gets it. And it's going to be between like who's it? The Canucks, the Wild, the Rangers, who else? Winnipeg. Yeah, the NHL and NBC did like a they did a
post about it. I do remember.
Yeah, they said power rankings, top 5 landing spots for Alexi Lafreniere will be Pittsburgh, Vancouver, Montreal, Edmonton, and New York. That's what they were saying. Because of how it impact them, not really like the chance, but how much Alexi would impact the squad.
Oh my God, yeah. Because I look at, I go on Twitter all the time, refreshing my feed. Rangers Twitter blows up, man, and especially when stuff happens in the league. And now the fact that the first overall pick, being Lafreniere,
could be
just I mean, the fact that the Rangers could just even if they lose to Carolina, like honestly, not a big deal because if you have a 13% chance, a 12.5% chance, at a shot at a guy who is, I mean, I'm not gonna say Crosby level because I haven't seen him play, but like. You know, he's been playing out of his mind. You even slot him anywhere in the Rangers top 9, top 6. Yet I'm playing with Panarin. You know, who knows? Like, that's just a ridiculous thought for me. And, like...
Absolutely.
I mean, the Rangers slotted in at 2 last year, so it's a little bit more, you know, like set in stone who, like, you know, they were going to get Kakko. Kakko was going to play with Panarin, or, like, you know, he's going to be playing with some really good players. So, obviously, there's a lot of unknowns with it, but... I guess the thought of it is interesting. And I guess the controversy between almost like, do you like, I've seen a bunch of polls and Tony D'Angelo did a poll on his first podcast too. Like, do you want your team to win or do you want your team to win the cup? And for me, it's always going to be a cup win. I will take a COVID cup, you know, however it goes, over a first overall pick. Cause listen, man, I've been waiting a long time for a Stanley Cup. I wasn't born in 1994. I did not watch that, you know?
Yeah.
born 7 years later. So I would like to see a cup
Yep.
win. I don't know how much.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah.
It's just it's the chance of getting him potentially. You don't know, because what if
Yeah.
you lose, the Rangers lose in the play-in, right? And they have
Yeah.
a chance, like any of the other 7 other teams that are playing or that are in contention for it, and then they don't get it. It's like, well, we just lost a good playoff run, and they played some of their best hockey for being the youngest team in the NHL. So I mean, I'll take a cup any day, but a lot of other people disagree with me, which I think is a little crazy.
Well, that's the thing with the Canucks, right? We've been waiting 50 years for this, right? Like, it's been 50 now. We haven't had a single. The closest we've gotten was Game 7, 1 win away in 2011. And we had, everyone looking back at it saying, we had a championship caliber team. We had solid defense, solid offense, and elite goaltending. We had what you could foundationally call a championship team. But Boston was better. That's the thing. Like, I didn't even really look into it recently, but we were awful on the road. Losing 8-2 in a Stanley Cup final is not something I'm going to be proud of on the road in Game 6. Game 6 or 5, we lost. 5 was 1-0 at home, but we lost horrifically in one of the games on the road in Boston. Like, we didn't win a single game on the road.
They were up. Weren't they up 3-1? Was that the year they were up 3-1?
We were up 2-0. We won Game 1 and 2 at home, and then lost 3 and 4 in Boston. Came home, won Game 5 at home. Lost Game 6 on the road, then lost Game 7 back at home.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was like Game 7 was obviously 4-0. Game 6 wasn't anything special either. Right? There was a lot of pressure, right? Game 7 at home, Luongo clearly couldn't handle it. And Tim Thomas was off his brain. Right. Tim Thomas was having the run of his career, right? Like, he was playing. Finally, Luongo matched up against a goalie of his level. Like, it was 2 best goalies in the league. Like, obviously, Luongo could take care of who we have in round 1. We had Corey Crawford round 1, Pecorine round 2, Anthony Niemi round 3. He had some good goaltenders facing up against him with the first 3 rounds. And obviously he battled through, and he obviously might have a little bit of a hot head coming into the finals. Tim Thomas, he's like, okay, let's do this. And Tim put up a good fight. Like, obviously games 1 and 2 were really close. Game 1 was literally 1-0. Game 2 was like 2-1 in overtime. Like, there were 2 close games. It was a Burrows overtime win as well. And it was like some wraparound. And it was a close game. It was finally a series. It was one of the best finals of the decade, arguably, right?
Yeah.
And Game 3 and 4 went dropped. Game 5 came back, we won at home. Game 6 lost, Game 7 lost. So it was a bumpy road, but we've obviously known what losing's like, and definitely all Canucks fans agree with me on this pretty much, that we won a championship. We won a cup. We want the cup. Everyone's been chanting it for a while. We want the cup.
Right.
And obviously getting there's been a little slower and painful process, arguably, with this rebuilding, but we're finally on the right track now. We have a solid team for the next few seasons.
Right.
And you look out west, right? Like, obviously you got like Colorado, St. Louis, Dallas. Who else you got? Vegas. Those 4 teams, the ones that the top 4 in the West, get a pass through the play-in round. Let's talk about those. Hey, what do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so what do you think? Who are you thinking first? Who on the tackle? Out of those 4.
Let's start with last year's Cup champs. Let's start with the Blues.
The St. Louis Blues, yeah, like they're definitely coming obviously off a good championship win. They didn't obviously modify their team very much coming into this current season, because why would you?
They didn't really need to.
Cup? Yeah, but like obviously, like one thing I got to think about. Obviously, everyone's thinking about this new style of hockey is, should they get younger? Should they look at going younger as well, right? Because obviously they have Clem Costin, they have Jordan Kyrou, Robert Thomas, they have these young guys coming in. What are you thinking? Like, what do you think if you were GM of the Blues? What's game plan?
I mean, they have a lot of young guys, and they have a lot of depth right now.
Yes.
So I'm not necessarily concerned with St. Louis. I mean, losing Tarasenko to injury was rough, but they did have players step in. Pietrangelo, 52 points. You're looking at their squad in general. I mean, it seems like getting younger is the way to go, right?
Yes.
In the process of a rebuild. But I mean, honestly, they won last year. Who did they beat last year?
They beat Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup final.
That's right. They beat a good Bruins team last year.
But in how many games? 7 games. Isn't that poetic? After 2011, yeah, like in 7 games, and they also beat the Bruins at home.
Right.
In Game 7, isn't it? So the taste of medicine, all the Canucks fans looking at a picture of Brad Marchand crying, like, finally. And like at home, it stings. It really stings. They could have brought the cup home, right? They had David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, Charlie McAvoy. Tuukka Rask was playing off his mind. They had a good team, but St. Louis just played better in Game 7.
Right. Well, and they're another team that doesn't make very many changes to their squad, and
Yeah.
like, for good reason. They're a top team every year, which is crazy. And I think the Blues, honestly, they don't need to do much because if you got good players, I mean, you won a cup. If you're a top seed this year, you're continuing to play well. If they make another deep run, they don't have to do a lot. So it's
Yes,
like,
exactly.
if they can keep getting younger, I mean, I guess that's always better, right?
Yeah.
But you need some veteran presence. Obviously, Pietrangelo is going to carry them as a captain, and he plays well. He backs up his play. He's not one of these captains that just kind of sits back and lead either silently or from the bench.
Yeah.
He's gonna play well. So St. Louis is just they're a very good squad. I don't really have much bad things to say about them. Obviously, Binnington played well again this year.
Absolutely.
Carried them through games, and I mean, he's young himself. What is he, 23?
Yeah, he's like 22, 24. He's getting there, right? Like, he's obviously not even hit his prime yet, and he's been playing like he is. He's a young guy. He's a young goaltender, right? Obviously, he was dwelling in the AHL for a few seasons when he began his career, right? He was playing in Chicago, and then he got called up finally because Jake Allen just wasn't cutting it. And the Blues team was struggling. They were dead last in the league as of January, right? They were a struggling team, and they needed some life. And they had, obviously, Coach Craig Berube, and they called up this young kid, Jordan Binnington, came in, didn't have a shutout his first few games, and everyone was like,
he just absolutely took over, and then they went on a run. It's a crazy story.
Pretty much, dude. Like, honestly, like, who would have thought, right? Jordan Binnington, like, they could have easily made a trade. They could have made a trade and brought in some old grizzled goaltender, like, let's say Braden Holtby or something like that. Like someone they really wanted to carry them to a championship, and they couldn't happen. When they brought in Jordan Binnington, he had the right drive, the motivation, the will. He was proving everyone wrong. He was proving everyone that he could do it, and he did. Kind of like Matt Murray equivalent, like it's shades of Matt Murray.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. What do you think? Dallas, Hedney.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know much about Dallas. They've always played well in the playoffs. They've always snuck away in. I mean, they haven't gone far. I don't think they've gotten past the first round, I want to say.
The second round, they went to round 2 and lost the Blues.
But I mean, that's another team that, I mean, I think they could use a little bit more depth in the forward position, but they've got good prospects. I mean, they brought Rupe Hinson.
Yeah.
And they've got hints of good guys.
Yes.
And I think they
Ben Bishop. Ben Bishop at goal. Ben Bishop's insane. Like, you got a big betting goal, Ben Bishop.
Right.
Like, you got a solid goalie. You got a goalie that had a taste of it back in Tampa. It took them to the 2015 final. Lost. Right. He's hungry. We'll see what he wants to do with that. But, like, so I was thinking, Dallas have a core that's been pretty consistent and getting pretty old. Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin haven't found much success in those two players, besides the fact that regular season success has been really, really good.
Right.
But nothing really in the playoffs. That's the catch.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Especially like you look at guys or even just teams like Tampa, man, they play so well during the regular season and then they just can't produce in the playoffs. I feel like Dallas is one of those teams that just struggles to produce for whatever reason. I mean, like something I've always said about the playoffs is just a whole different season. Like, forget what happened in the regular season. The playoffs is a whole different beast because you've got the President's Trophy curse. Whoever wins it is like, never done that well. Except I think Washington broke that.
Yeah. Well, and the luck of the 8th seed teams, right? Those been like the 8th seed teams always they've been doing really well with each conference. Like, it's saying LA was like the 8th seed team in 2012, and they swept the President's Trophy winning Canucks in round 1.
Right.
And then went to the cup.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And that was bad. That was the year they tried out Corey Schneider as well in goal, and we just got absolutely demolished by LA.
Right. Yeah.
And that was not a good year for us. And I was thinking, like, it doesn't matter where you fall in. It all matters how you play in the playoffs. It's like a clean slate. Then Columbus, Tampa, clean slate. Columbus, Tampa came in with the same leverage, and Columbus swept them. It's all who wants it more. That's pretty much.
It is. You're right. It's whoever wants it more. And like, don't get me wrong, I love Tyler Seguin. I think he's a great player, and he's electric, and he can light up a team, easily. He's one of those players that can take over very quickly. But I don't know. I mean, I think they've been in the league for a long time. Both Ben and Seguin have been in the league for a while. I mean, obviously Seguin won a cup in 11 with Boston, but since then he hasn't been able to do anything.
That's the thing, right? Like, that's the catch. Like, obviously, Dallas have they have a good top line. Seguin, Ben Radulov.
Right.
That's a very good.
That's a strong top line.
And you got obviously Klingberg on defense. You got some solid defensemen back there as well. But and Ben Bishop.
I just think they have a couple holes to fill.
Yes, that's the
a
thing.
bit of I think they need more role players, and I guess a bit of a rebuild is kind of necessary almost. I mean,
maybe, yeah.
They brought in Zuccarello last year, who played pretty well. Filling in for some role playing spot. Obviously, I guess they didn't want him or whatever.
Yeah, well, obviously he had an expiring contract. Dallas brought him in purely as a rental player, kind of like the Tyler Toffoli Vancouver situation. Right. We brought Tyler Toffoli in as a rental player. That we paid a price for him, and now he's probably going to walk a free agency. Chances are, right? We paid a good pick, a second round pick, and a prospect for Tyler Toffoli.
Right.
And now to a rebuilding Kings team. So now we're going to see what Tyler Toffoli could do. He might walk and try and find a cup with a contending team in free agency. We'll see. That's the thing with Dallas, right? They've acquired Zuccarello knowing that he's probably not going to resign come July 1st. Right. And so they knew that he was going to walk. So he walked to Minnesota, which obviously isn't a better team, right?
Right.
It's interesting. He went to Minnesota, a divisional opponent. So we'll see, obviously what happened. Maybe Minnesota's a young, hungry team, and we'll see how they play in the play-in round against the Canucks. But they, once again, a team that's been not finding their identity. They've been trying to rebuild. They've been trying to find some old guys that don't know what they're doing. Devin Dubnyk didn't have a great season. Right. Alex Taylor didn't have a great season. So we'll see what they're going to pull off in the play-in round.
Right. And who's the backup in Dallas? Who do they have besides Bishop? Because the thing is, if Bishop doesn't play well, who do they got behind him?
Is it Hudobin? Is it Anton Hudobin?
Oh, you're right. It might be.
Yeah, and it's Anton Hudobin behind Ben Bishop.
And he's pretty good. I think he's a good kid.
The two solid goaltenders, right? And that's the catch, right? They're obviously and down the stretch, I don't know off the top of my head any goaltending prospects for the Dallas Stars. Do you know any? That's the thing,
honestly,
right?
No. Yeah, they have no depth.
They should start looking at San Jose, deepening their prospect pool, seeing what they can do. Because otherwise, you're going to realize if Sagan and Ben retire or leave, then what? Rupe Hintz? Then what? Radul's going to retire. What are they going to do? They need to find some young prospects,
players that can, I don't know, have some longevity at least.
Yes, definitely. That's the plan, right?
Well, and the Stars have also had. I mean, Sagan and Ben have had issues with management too in the past, not agreeing. with
Jim
front office. Right? So it's I would not be surprised if in a couple of years they leave, they go somewhere else, they request to be traded.
Well, Ben wants a cup, right? I'm not gonna say it's gonna happen, right? But let's say John Tavares kind of situation. Ben comes home to Vancouver, right? He's a Victoria boy. He's in Victoria, BC. So we'll see if he comes home, if we have the cap for him, but if he wants to win a cup, we'll see, right? I don't know what he's going to do. But let's say he wants to win a cup. Him and Sagan's already had a taste for it, but I'm assuming he wants another one. Let's say those two are separate ways. What happens to that Dallas Stars team?
They just crumble. Because you think of Dallas, you think Tyler Sagan and Jamie Benn.
That's what I think of me. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
maybe John Klingberg if you look into depth, maybe Ben Bishop, but you think Sagan Ben.
Right. Yeah. Beyond that top line, they don't have any depth, and that's their issue. They got holes to fill. And they'll get there, but I think they're just kind of riding it out for now. They're doing well. They're playing well. Yeah. Maybe they look at it. If they get a first round bye this year, maybe they'll look at changing things up. But
who knows? Maybe Tyler Sagan might absolutely blow up next season. Pull up as a manager. Have a few quiet years and absolutely take off next year.
Right.
We'll see. And then if that happens, right, Dallas could be looking more consistent. Let's say Jamie Benn, let's say Sagan Ben pull off kind of a Panarin Kane kind of situation, a dynamic duo on that top line. Let's see what happens, right? And Radulov, you got a solid right winger, the two winger and centerman, right? Mm-hmm. Let's see what happens. Radulov's pretty old now. He's 35, 34.
Yeah, he's getting up there. I mean, he played the majority of his career in Montreal.
Yeah, and Nashville. He went Nashville and then he went KHL back to Montreal.
Right. That's right.
So we'll see. Hey, man, honestly, it's going to be interesting. But Dallas definitely have some big holes to fill, some question marks in the depth. That's their problem.
That's true. And a team that I do think has kind of filled their holes and done the right things is a team kind of similar to Vancouver, honestly. You look at Colorado, and the kids are running the show.
Colorado.
Along with Nathan McKinnon.
Absolutely. Nathan McKinnon has taken that team and put them on his back. He has been absolutely unreal. He took what Matt Duchene built and put more to it. Matt Duchene was the top guy in Colorado. And then McKinnon came along and they didn't see any of Matt Duchene anymore. that Matt Duchene trade was a good trade for the Colorado Avalanche. They got Samuel Girard in that trade, who's now a good defenseman, like a solid top 4 defenseman for that group. Like, that was a good deal for the Colorado Avalanche. A good time. It was very good timing as well.
Right.
Because Matt Duchene, let's be real, he's been a great guy, but he hasn't been the same guy he was in Colorado with Ottawa and Nashville.
No way.
And Columbus, sorry. He was in Columbus as well. Like, he hasn't been the same guy he was in Colorado. Like, he was a top centerman in Colorado, putting up good numbers for, like, this young Canadian kid. Right. And McKinnon filled that role more so. Like, he even took it to a new level. He was the franchise player that Colorado was looking for, right? Mm-hmm. Joe Sakic looking for him, and they found him. And, like, who they got, like Landis Cog around them as well, and they got Mikko Rantanen. That's a solid group.
Yeah. Their top line is crazy. And they were able to stack a couple picks up, acquire picks from trades, and do the right thing. And
it's good management. It comes down to good management, right? Like Joe Sakic, it comes down to good management. They same with Jim Bain. They managed the rebuilding team the correct way. Yeah.
Cal McCarr coming into Colorado, they had a pretty steady defensive core. They brought him in on a whim. He played a couple of games as a rookie, and he just absolutely played out of his mind.
And insane.
And solidified his top spot.
Colorado, good defensive core. Now they have a really good defensive core. That's the thing, right? Obviously, they were thinking the absence of Tyson Barrie, what's that going to leave in the Toronto defensive group? But Cal McCarr managed to fill that role well. Because obviously Tyson Barrie going to Toronto, right? Could Eric Johnson do it? Who else do they have on the defensive end? Samuel Girard, maybe. I don't know. Connor Timmins coming up as a prospect.
Yeah.
I don't know who else really they have.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, besides those ones. But Cale McCarr's been absolutely insane. Like, obviously, a good Calder rival for Quinn Hughes. Definitely someone who can take away that Rookie of the Year title for him. And obviously, Kubalik's been insane. But does Kubalik compete with Hughes and McCarr?
No, not.
That's the thing.
No way.
Yeah. Like those two, it's going to be a defenseman winning the Calder this season. Kind of like, when was the last defenseman to win it? Was it Aaron Ekblad?
Yeah. Aaron Ekblad, because it was Panarin, Matthews, Barzal, and Pettersson.
Yeah. It's honestly, that shocked me. It didn't shock me now looking back at it, but Panarin taking it over Connor McDavid because of McDavid's injuries, right? But Panarin won it in McDavid's year and Eichel's year.
Right.
He took it over the two.
Well, he put up 77 points.
He was absolutely insane for Chicago. He played an amazing season.
Well, and the help from Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
It did him wonders, He can't put up 30.
So you'd think, right? Well, you credit Panarin's success to Kane, but Panarin's done insane since he left Chicago as well.
Oh my God. And he's really solidified himself, played his best hockey that he's ever played in New York. Because
that's the thing.
It's almost as if playing with Kane and Taze in those early years really helped them.
Built him,
develop, He's playing with star players. He's getting good minutes.
Yeah.
And that really makes a difference, right? He goes to Columbus. He plays very well. He practically carries them. Having Bobrovsky obviously helps.
Yeah.
But then...
And he's also playing on, like, a team that was fresh off a championship.
Right.
In 2015, Chicago. He's been playing on a hot Chicago team.
Right.
That's the thing with Buffalo, Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel joined a Buffalo team that was struggling. Mm-hmm. And Evander Kane, Ryan O'Reilly, a struggling Buffalo team. Right. And it didn't make much of a difference. He played very well, but it didn't overall influence the team towards a playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that goes to how well Jack Eichel plays or what, because you look at, I mean, you could say the same, I guess, about McDavid, right? Because they're almost comparables, right? Edmonton was a garbage team before.
Oh, dumpster fire, right?
And then McDavid just absolutely just carries them. And then you add Draisaitl and you add Nugent Hopkins. Those, I mean, you didn't have them; they were there, but they developed.
More. McDavid came in, and the Oilers made the playoffs win 2 seasons.
Yeah,
and that's the thing, right? That's the effect he had on the team.
Right. Well, and those role players in Edmonton helped.
Oh, definitely. At the time, it was Jordan Eberle, it was Nugent Hopkins, it was Draisaitl, even like younger Draisaitl. You got Clefbaum in defense, Sekera in defense, Cam Talbot.
Right.
You got that young kind of squad. Like I think you had Gagne left. You got like. Who was a David Desharnais even at one point was a solid bottom 6 kind of guy. But it was like they had a solid core at that time, and now they're kind of battling this rebuild. And coming in, I remember watching this game versus Edmonton, and the Canucks staff, they gave out like these calendars, right? And they had the rosters of both teams. And looking at Edmonton's team, I didn't recognize half the guys. They were from either Sweden or from the AHL. And you're like, this is an AHL team, like David and Draisaitl. And then they absolutely took off. Like Joakim Nygard, you got Colby Cave, rest in peace, right? Poor guy. Right. Colby Cave, you got all those young guys that were playing the AHL season and have absolutely solidified themselves as NHL caliber players right now. And it's been pretty insane. Like watching them, obviously now in a play-in spot. Like, who would have thought Edmonton would be in a play-in spot looking at their roster coming into the season? I definitely didn't. I was one of the
I wouldn't have pictured that.
non-believers of Edmonton, but yeah.
Yeah, only because they had two ridiculously good players in McDavid and Draisaitl.
And Draisaitl just absolutely took off. Like, he took the weight off McDavid's shoulders. That's what Eichel needs. Eichel,
he needs someone like that.
Because Draisaitl took the weight off McDavid's shoulders of carrying the team.
Right.
Draisaitl did his own carrying the season. And Eichel needs that. Sam Reinhart hasn't been that guy. Jolin's he's a defenseman though. Casey Middleton hasn't been that guy. They need someone who can pretty soon
produce
take that weight off
which is going to be a hard thing to find too, because a lot of those players need time to develop. I mean, I don't know. I mean, sitting at the 8th spot in this year's draft, who the hell are they going to get? I mean, you never know how it goes.
It's a deep draft. It's a deep draft. They're lucky. Buffalo lucky. It's a very deep draft. They could find someone at 8 who could easily been like a very, very talented forward. Like, let's say Lucas Raymond drops to 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a very talented forward from Sweden, a goal scorer, right? He's a sniper. He's someone who can get to the net. He can score goals. Pretty ones, even not pretty ones. He's Swedish, right? He can be pretty good. A talented guy, and we'll see. We'll slap him. You slap him with who put with like maybe rookie season. Let's say Eichel. Who else on the left wing do you think if he's the right winger? You got Eichel, maybe Sam Reinhart. We'll see.
Maybe
that could be a solid line. That could be a solid line if Lucas Raymond plays the way that he's meant to be playing, and Eichel and finds someone who can take the weight off his shoulders, and Buffalo essentially finds someone who can produce. But yeah, back to Colorado, right? Like, they handle it very well.
Yeah. Well, and handling a rebuild is super important. Buffalo didn't do that the right way, and a lot of other teams have found the way too. So
yeah,
it all depends how you handle it. You can draft as well as you want, or as poor as you want, I guess.
Yes.
But as long as they're managed correctly and given time to find their game, it could be anybody.
My big question for Colorado I've been thinking about is Philip Grubauer a guy who can carry a team to a championship? Because he's that guy right now.
I personally don't think so, to be honest with you. He's good, don't get me wrong, but like you hear Philip Grubauer's name, it's not a name that I'm like, oh wow,
Philip Grubauer,
oh, they got Grubauer in now. I'm afraid to go against Grubauer. I'd be afraid to go against Kel McCarr, not gonna lie.
Yes,
I would not be afraid to go against Philip Grubauer. So like, he's one of those players that, I mean, he played behind Varlamov for like the longest time, right?
Now he's the guy. Now it's Pavel Franco. I think I know about the last name. He's behind Phil Grubauer at the tandem right now. That's a good goaltending group, but they need someone who's like, wow. They need a Carter Hart equivalent in Philadelphia, and like someone he's like, wow, he's good. Right. They need someone in Colorado that can take them to a championship, like Jordan Binnington, St. Louis,
right?
A divisional opponent who handled it very well.
I don't know. I feel like it's got to be someone who's young and fresh. Looking at Igor, looking at a bunch of other guys that come in, Carter Hart, Binnington. It's just like they've taken their time to develop. They come in the league, they get hot quick. And then they have longevity. They play well. They've got good, good coaches that just help them out. I feel like guys that have just kind of ridden backseat the whole time don't really take teams to just cup wins. I mean,
that's a catch. But besides that, Colorado is a solid team. They have a very good team. Like, there's nothing really bad to say about Colorado besides the questioning goal. It's not even a bad thing. It's just a question mark, right? It's not a solidification. Right. It's not someone that let's say, as I was saying, McKinnon goes down in game 3 of the finals and you have Grubauer in net. Do you feel comfortable as Colorado's head coach going into that game that you will produce a win without McKinnon and without?
I mean, they have a lot of forward depth, so like, Grubauer plays well. He's got good defensemen in front of him. If you have good defense, you're always going to put yourself in a position to win, no matter who's in that way. Yeah. So
Kale McCarr meant to be out of his mind, right? Kale's meant to be one of them, obviously the best defenseman in Colorado for the next while.
Yeah, easily.
Like, him and Hughes are gonna. I feel like it's gonna have like, I'm gonna say comparable to what you call it, Crosby Ovechkin, that kind of draft rivalry,
right?
Going forward, right? Like, you have like the Hughes McCarr rivalry. I feel like the Canucks and Avs could meet in the playoffs. Let's say Canucks beat Minnesota in the play, and they will meet Colorado in the real first round of the playoffs. So let's say like it could be a Hughes McCarr matchup, and we'll see, right? Like, those two could easily go at it, and it's two similar but different styles of defending. McCarr's a goal scorer, right? Hughes is a playmaker. Hughes uses his edge work and he gets pucks in there and he makes plays.
Right.
McCarr rips it. Like, he's a goal scorer, right? Like, that's the thing, right? And two different styles of play, but two different styles that different teams needed. Like, the Canucks needed someone like Quinn Hughes, they got him. Same with Colorado, they needed someone like Cale McCarr, and they got him. And they're happy about it.
Right. What do you think about Vegas? I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about Vegas, but what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on Vegas, they had obviously the dream run in 2018, the inaugural season run, coming from like being this team of the misfits, right? Like
Right.
a team full of players no one wanted. Jonathan
Right.
Marchessault, William Carson, even like Riley Smith, Alex Tuck.
Oscar Lindbergh.
Literally, and Marc-Andre Fleury, obviously, he was the face of the franchise, but they got him, and like that was the recipe to make a good team. Like they had all the same drive, the same emotion. They all wanted to win so fucking badly. They wanted to win, and they almost did. They didn't need star-studded talent, but I think that's what separated them from a championship. Is they didn't have it. They couldn't compete with Ovechkin. They couldn't compete with Backstrom. They couldn't compete with John Carlson. Like, look at that crew they had out in Washington. That's an all-star team, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Kuznetsov, Vrana. Like, that's just a very, very good squad.
Burkowski at that time, too.
Oh,
I forgot to mention in Colorado. That's
Burkowski now. Yeah, like Colorado have a solid depth team as well, but even Vegas, like, that's the thing, right? Vegas are looking at their prospect pool, and they have Cody Glass, they have Zach Whitecroft, they have some Peyton Krebs, they have some good prospects. But what's going to happen, right, is I don't see Peyton Krebs, like, necessarily right now being that wow player, right? Like, he's going to be a good player, but, like, maybe, like, top 6, second line, maybe first line, but nothing like Panarin, nothing like any of those really good left wingers that came in and were like, wow.
And just took over like that.
Yeah. That's what they're going to need. That's what Vegas want, right? Because obviously they're going to be in cap help pretty soon. Well, they have Max Pacioretty. They have these guys that are getting paid big money. Marc-Andre Fleury, Shea Theodore's very good.
Alex Tuck is due for a payday himself.
Yeah, and that's William Carlson. He's on like what, $7 million deal now. Like he's getting paid like deal. He was going to pay like 1.5 in Columbus, and then he went to Vegas.
He's got a fat deal after a few years. Yeah,
like that's good for him, right? Like he deserves it. That's the cap, right? But Vegas, what are they doing going forward, right? Obviously, Game 7 elimination, round 1 against San Jose. They felt they could have made a run. Maybe they didn't. What's the plan now? Obviously, skipping play-in round, going straight to the first round of the playoffs. Who do they face coming out of that one? Like who did Vegas face?
Oh, well, Vegas, I mean, they face any of the other teams because they're in the top 4 in the West.
Yeah,
so
but who would
they play round robin?
Because Colorado faces the winner of the Canucks and the Wild. So who does Vegas face? Like,
I see.
What play-in series does have to be determined for Vegas to find out who they play against? Is it Edmonton, Chicago?
Everyone's getting reseeded after each round. So you don't really know.
Yeah, right. Like, honestly, Vegas have a chance, but like they have to find themselves in. They have to realize that they aren't the same team once again they were in 2018. They have to find a new identity. They have to assume a new identity and embrace it and try and make a championship team out of that. But from your like point of view, what do you think Vegas is going to do in the next coming years? Like, what do you think the results of the team are going to be?
I don't know. I mean, I think obviously they've got a lot of good players. They've got a fair amount of depth, honestly.
They're a very deep team. They have Alex Tuck, Pacioretty, Riley Smith, William Carlson, Jonathan Marchessault, Cody Glass is now playing in the NHL. Who else do you got in centerman, right? You got defense, you got Shea Theodore, who's very good.
Yep.
Braden McNabb, you got like Fleury as well. Backup goaltending, that's a question mark for Vegas right now.
Who do they have? It's not Malcolm Subban, is it?
No, he went to Chicago. He's in Chicago now, I think.
Who's the backup in?
Oh, sorry, Robin Leonard, right? They've got a stacked goaltending duo now. They got Robin Leonard deadline.
Vegas did?
So, right, I think so. I think it's Robin Leonard in Vegas. Maybe I'm wrong, but
he is in Vegas. You're right.
It's Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah. So
wow.
They have a stacked goaltending tandem now. Vegas, but that's not going to last, right? Because obviously the two very high-paid goaltenders, right? No one can really afford that.
And they're aging a little bit. Robin Leonard's on his way out, to be fair.
Yeah, so we'll see, right? Like Leonard, obviously, I honestly don't understand why New York didn't hold on to him. He put up a borderline Vezina trophy season.
Yeah, he did.
And then they released him.
Well, that's because they wanted to go all in on Panarin. They were going to give him like $12 million or something like that, 12 and a half.
And they didn't get him, right? That was the couch.
No, they didn't.
Panarin chose wisely, right? But it's like they went all in, they paid the price. They could have had a solid guy in Robin Leonard. Now they don't have to settle for $7 million for Varlamov, right? I mean, he's good, but he's not great.
Right.
That's the couch,
and I think all they need is someone steady back there. And Varlamov, to me, he's proven that he can be that guy. And he did that in Colorado for a long time, it seems.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I see a lot of good things from Vegas. So they're not
necessarily positives. So to be negatives, I'm thinking negative will be cap in the next few seasons.
I think cap will be their biggest thing.
Yeah. Like the Canucks, how will the cap play into how they're going to build this team? Or how they're going to keep building this team? Because they have a good team right now, but what's going to happen when some players want to leave, some players want to come in? trade. They're going to start maybe.
Well, yeah, trades are going to be their big thing, and if they can't, well, because the thing is, they played so well out the gate that it's not even like they have shots at picks. You know, they have to trade for picks and make as best trades you can. Don't buy out anyone that's going to just kill you and hurt your cap. That's just not a smart move.
Well, one decision I don't really agree with the front office made was firing head coach Gerard Gohan. They fired their head coach who took them to the finals.
And who did they pick up in exchange?
I'm gonna think it's the San Jose ex-coach. I'm not too sure.
Oh, Pete DeBoer, right?
I think so. Google it. Yeah, I think that was who they picked up in his place. I don't really agree with that. I feel like they could have held on to him for a little while. He obviously showed like he could handle the group.
Yeah, he was only there for 2 years. They had. I mean, they go to the Cup final and then they lose in the first round. Why are you gonna get rid of your coach?
Dude, legit. And like Travis Green hasn't made the playoffs since joining the Canucks in 2017. But he's been absolutely insane. Like he's been handling. He was a coach from Utica. He wasn't an NHL head coach coming into it. They hired him from the AHL, but he's been because he can handle the group of young guys, and he took the group of young guys and gave them the motivation to become the team we are right now.
Well, and that's the key with a lot of these young teams. I mean, the Rangers got David Quinn from BU.
Yes, great call.
He's used to coaching young kids. He's going to continue to coach young kids. And the thing about Vegas is that they don't have a lot of young guys. It's all veterans.
It's veteran presence, right? It's Cody Glass.
Bring in a veteran like Pete DeBoer, who took that San Jose team to
Cup final in 2016.
Cup final in 2016. He and that team wasn't young either. They had a lot of veterans too. So
it was a Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, Pavelski, Kachuk kind of team. It was not a young team.
Yeah, exactly. So that guy's used to coaching vets. So I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have done what they would have done. I would have kept Gallant for at least a couple more years. Let's say, give him a few more years. If they continue to get first round exits, then maybe you think about changing things up. But it's also, in your team too.
Well, that's what Dallas did, right? They changed their entire coaching stuff, right? When they started losing in the first round, they made some big changes, and obviously they it's been good, but they haven't made much progress. Maybe second round game 7 was the furthest they got since then.
Right.
Because it was unlucky, dude. Look, watching that, all due respect to St. Louis fans, watching that Robert Thomas goal, I think it was. Sorry, Robert Thomas to Patrick Maroon. That Patrick Maroon game 7 double overtime winning goal. Mm-hmm. It was a bounce. It was off the top of Ben Bishop, down by his back, and then he whacked it in from the Robert Thomas goal. Yeah, it was something that really stings for Dallas fans. Like watching that, obviously, like they want it back. They could have done it easily. Maybe it was one bounce separating them from the conference finals. Maybe that could have changed it. Maybe they could have gone to a cup. They could have gone on to compete with Boston in the final. They could have or lost to who was West. Could have lost San Jose. San Jose could have gone to play Boston. Right. Who knows? Could have a completely different playoff story if that goal didn't go in. Right.
It's going to be interesting, man, to see how these kids adapt and play. It's going to feel different. Obviously, it's not your normal playoff atmosphere. That's just the nature of the season this year. But I really hope that. I mean, I know that they've tested, for COVID, and what they have like
some players,
15 or 24 or something like that players.
Austin Matthews included in that bunch,
Right. Out of like the 250 coaching staff and players that are tested, so I guess it's kind of a toss-up as to whether or not the playoff, I guess, is going to happen. I really hope that it does because I'm very excited. I've been waiting for hockey for a long time, man, and I just want to see it played out because. I feel like a lot of people want you to just cancel the season, just write it off, and those might be for teams that are out of the playoff and they just don't really care.
Like Buffalo, San Jose,
But if you've got exciting squads like New York, like Vancouver, like Colorado, you want to see your team play in the playoffs, no matter where it is, who's in the arena, if it's empty or not. But I'm excited for it either way. I just hope it. It gets going quick, man. I'm impatient,
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude.
It's been a long time without hockey. I like Will said, man. I don't know what I would do without it. What I have been doing, it's been rough, Yeah. Hockey is like my life. It's crazy. Even though I'm in a similar situation, I've never played, but it's just a
passion for it's insane. Even though we never actually played a real game, it's the passion is still there, right?
Right. Yeah, that's the big thing. You talk to hockey guys, and they love it. They love everything about it, and I think you can still have that even without playing in an actual game. Although I really would have loved to do that. My parents never let me play due to like health concerns. Growing up, so it was never a thing that I was really allowed to do. But man, I would have had so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening to this week's episode of Puck Drop. On next week's episode, we're going to be covering the latest news around the league, along with the preview of the Eastern Conference top seeds. Now, Sam, listen, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. You know, you were great. You know a lot
Oh, thank
about
you so much, dude. Honestly, my pleasure. I was waiting for this for a while. You told me about this podcast. I was really excited. Like, it's going to be a great opportunity. Like, I obviously want to rant about hockey a lot, and I can't really do it with my family because my family's Australian and nothing about hockey. So, obviously, coming on the show and talking to you about this for like, solid 2 hours has been absolutely amazing, dude.
I
Thank
know.
you.
I feel the same way. I feel like there's very few people I can talk about with hockey like this. So, I mean, I had a fun time. This is great, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.